Você se lembra do compromisso assumido no curso intermissivo?
Do you remember the compromise you assumed at the intermissive course? Do you remember that your program, your existential program, can have an impact in the group? So everything you need to do in order to overcome, it will ask for you, it will demand for you flexibility. Intermissivist, what do you want? What do you want to do for the planet? Be welcome. This event is for you. Be part of it. Have more experience and have more information about Entrepreneur, Evolutionary, in the link below.
Boa noite.
Good evening. We began the activity of opening the 3rd International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneur. Be all welcome to the International Institute of Projectology and Conscientiology. Good evening, Instructor Pedro Vieira. Good evening, Instructor Josélia Lopes. Good evening to the entire Conscientiological community. On behalf of the International Institute of Projectology and Conscientiology, IIPC, we greet the ladies and gentlemen, volunteers, students, researchers, members of other conscience-centric institutions, and other participants who accompany us. Be welcome to the 3rd International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship. We are broadcasting live on IIPC's YouTube and Facebook channels. The opening ceremony of the 3rd International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship, with the Inter-Assistance Conference Without Borders that will soon be given by Instructor Málu Balona. And you, internauta, you can send your comments through live chat and send the link of the conference to your friends. The International Institute of Projectology and Conscientiology is an independent, non-profit, scientific, research, and educational institution. There are 35 years of activity focused on the consolidation of the science, projectology, and conscientiology in their multiple specialties. The IIPC contributes to the dissemination of the consciential paradigm through the dissemination of research carried out and presented at its scientific events. And it is with a great satisfaction that the IIPC promotes the largest international event of the Conscientiological specialty, Entrepreneurship. The evolutionary entrepreneurship is the advanced condition to the epicenter and direct effort synchronized with the multidimensionality for the realization of the existential program, whether personal or group. It is the action of the intermissivist in calling responsibility to himself in order to implement and innovate ideas and management methods according to the consciential paradigm. The Congress is at the same time one aims to share self-research and turn the wheel of conscientiological interassistance. Follow now the institutional video of the 3rd International Congress of the Evolutionary Entrepreneurship. Roll the video, please. "25 articles, 10 lectures, master classes, conferences, "34 hours of presentation.
Muito bem. Ainda dá tempo de se inscrever.
Great. Hey, there is still time to sign up. Just go to our empreendedorismoevolutivo.iipc.org website. It contains the complete schedule of the event. So we would like to invite instructor Ailton Maia and Gabriel Araújo, and also Daniel Schell and Patricia Alves. Good evening, be welcome. We pass the word to you. So be all welcome. It's a great pleasure to be here in this opening moment of the third International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship. I would like to talk about the entrepreneurship, which is a specialty that let's think that whenever we address the materialization of our intermissivist course, they already deal with evolutionary entrepreneur. IIPC, during all those 35 years, and all in the events of ICCC, with the dedication of so many intermissivists. So it's, in this sense, it's great. So what we come here, what we represent here in the society, it already represents the evolutionary entrepreneurship. Talking about the lucid projection, talk about pacifismology, and talk about so many other specialities related with projectiology, penta, and so many other specialities. This already represents and makes us an entrepreneur. The group actions, laboratories, and all so many things that we're able to materialize here in the interphysical reality, it represents a great job from the entrepreneurship point of view. And now during this International Congress, we are going to have this possibility of digging up with instructor Málu, Balona, and so many other instructors that are going to gather here in this Congress. And this is exactly what I have to bring right now. Thank you, Ailton. Good evening, everybody. There is a phrase that is related with Isaac Newton. This expression is, if I arrive here, it's because I was supported by gigantic shoulders. And this phrase connects me with all the projects, with the interassistential work that we have been able to do, and therefore we can be here together, and we have a lot to celebrate, and we have a lot to do. So I see this Congress very aligned with a great opportunity of teaching and research, which is the evolutionary entrepreneurship. And I wish you all take the best out of this International Congress. And now I am giving the words to Patricia Alves. Good evening. 11 years ago, we launched the first International Congress in Manaus. So today, 11th of 2022, when we start this Congress, it represents an important threshold. The existence of IIPC during more than 3 decades, in which together had helped many other conscientiocentric institutions, it shows a good example. So talk about this subject in this extra-physical reurbanization. It's very important to reinforce and highlight motivated actions and conduct that are aligned with everything we study in the intermissivist course. And those are the examples that we are going to have the opportunity to attend in this international congress. So I wish all the best for us and for everybody. Now we have Shell. Great, Patricia. We would like to congratulate the entire team, extra-physical and intra-physical team that has been working strongly to materialize this international congress. And now we would like to invite you all to be part of our IIPC campus in Iguaçu, Foz. Let's watch the institutional video.
Olá, pessoal. É com satisfação que
Hello, everybody. It is a great satisfaction to be here and give you great news. It's about the project of Projectology of the campus in Foz do Iguaçu. It is a dream that we have been aiming for more than 30 years. Soon we are going to start the constructions. Now we are closer than 700,000 reais. So that's why we recorded this video, to ask your help with any sort of money that you can help. You can donate either PIX or using other sorts of donation. If you can even send an email and ask for the link. The email is financeiro.or .br. If you build, they will come. Main entrance. Projectology, Project Solino. South construction. North construction, parapedagogic area. Ground base. Projectarium. Group laboratory. Ten experimenters. A wide session. Bioenergetic optimization. Help the campus of Projectology. In this energetic field, and with great satisfaction, we declare open the Third International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship.
International Conference on Evolutive Entrepreneurship open.
Nous déclarons ouvert le troisième congrès international sur l'entrepreneuriat évolutif.
Sejam bem-vindos também à equipe do terceiro Congresso Internacional de Empreendedorismo Evolutivo, representado pelos professores.
So be welcome here.
Paulo Araújo e Cile Gurgel. Eles são os amparadores, organizadores do evento do IPC.
So we have a group that is the helpers from this event here. Good evening. Good evening, Cirlei Gurgel. Good evening, Paulo Souza.
Boa noite.
Good evening, Graça Bebigier.
Boa noite, então, gente. Nós gostaríamos de começar.
Good evening, folks. We would like to start right now talking a little bit about the importance of the evolutionary entrepreneurship and also this Congress in a sense of
Mais importante,
in
gestação
a sense of building or consolidating the first conscientiological gestation that every intermissivist needs to develop, which is bringing inside the self-experimentation, the theories, the paragenetic, the hollow memory, and all the strong traits, all the multidimensional connections with the consciousness that are already evolving. And in this way, being able to put on practice his or her own proaxis, and together with the colleagues, the maxi proaxis, we can understand in the sense that IIPC, the International Institute of Projectiology and Conscientiology, as a great evolutionary school. And the evolutionary entrepreneurs that are here are trying to expand and amplify the access of the consciousness to the essence of the learning. Every time we study and reflect about evolutionary entrepreneurship, the essence that we get, we met was the transformation. Transform means change. It means change the self-manifestation of the consciousness, change the behavior inside their evolutionary groups, being able to transform the environment, the cultures, the way we take care of the environment, the way we take care of people together, considering the multi-dimensional paradigm, multi-existential and multi-somatic paradigm. And in this way, together with helpers that are acting together with us in this project, in all these projects, and as the coordinators brought before, be all very welcome, intraphysical and extraphysical consciousness, and let's start to share everything we learn, our evolutionary learnings, from the best way possible, taking the best from the disbelief principle and taking into account the satisfaction of being able to share all this experience with family and friends. So I would like to give the word to Cirlei Gurgel. Thank you, Cleverson. In this third International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship, I would like you to ask a few images, if you can share a few images, because I am going to talk about the hollow memory of this Congress, in which I was able to participate, as we mentioned before, 11 years ago, as Instructor Patricia Alves mentioned. In this date today happens the first International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship in Amazonas, with the essence of being able to materialize consciential realizations. And that happens between 11 until 13th of November. So here we can see a few register from the pictures with the picture of everybody together, and that counts with the participation of 120 congressists. And the program was composed by 5 conferences, 18 presentations, 6 panels, 4 mini courses, and 1 pre-event. So the second Congress happened in Iguaçu, Foz, in between 12 and 14 of November in 2016, with the subject, assuming the interassistential entrepreneurship. We had the participation of 120 congresses, many conferences and presentations, and also 6 round tables, a few panels, and 4 mini courses. And today, 11/11 of 2022, we have the pleasure to start our 3rd Congress totally online. And this journey had come with 52 self-researched, where a group of 57 evaluators choose 36 articles to compound the programmation. We also count with a few monthly activities. And in this week, we start with a super live with a simultaneous transmission with instructors Málu, Balona, and Maria Paula, and followed with a master class, with a few master classes with parapsyches, invexes, self-de-intrusion, parasurgery. And today we deliver to you a high-level event taught carefully in all the details, with many hands and para hands. So I aim you profit the best out of it. The essence of the Congress is adaptability and interassistential innovation in the planet. And now I am going to give to Graça Berbigier, that is going to list a few innovations from this Congress. So today, focus, giving sequence, we are going to talk about the adaptability and interassistential innovation from the planet in transformation. And we would like to list a few of the innovations that happened during the organization of this event. I am going to start about the gestation. We choose a collegiate that was great and very positive. We had the opportunity to use these software teams. Perhaps we were one of the first that used this tool. And we highlight also the gesconographic field, with great innovation was elaborated inside the organization of the Congress, and it became an official activity from IIPC. We would like to highlight the selection of the articles that we analyzed as a blind connection, and all the articles had this same democratic evaluation. The divulgation of all these works, all the works, they were divulgated in one live, and we had the presence of instructor Málu Balona that is going to talk in this opening conference. We also had a magazine. We were able to create a magazine with all the information of the Congress that starts with a pensata from the volunteers with this essence. We also create a spreadsheet to be able to follow the entire situation and the entire organization of the International Congress. With this spreadsheet, we were able to have an overview about everything that was happening in the backstage of this International Congress. And we would like to highlight that we create an internal activity inside of the gesconographical field that we had the opportunity to present for the first time in the 14th volunteer gather. And we had this innovation as well. Many lives, as the instructors mentioned. In a live, we have 4 people that were invited. We also had the simultaneous translation for one live that were translated in English and Spanish in order to be able to embrace the people that are abroad. So this proposal, the main proposal here with all those activities was to amplify and establish an integrative participation with the volunteers and with a special participation from a lady that is part of a film, Who Cares? And among others activities, not less important, the interaction of works and WhatsApp interaction, the reviews that we had, and also the organization of everything that was great, where the example of one was able to help others to get motivated. A few summaries from this Congress that is going to be great. It's going to be presented, the videos, the official videos that were done. We launched with a special lives. The first video you saw in this opening, we launched this video in the volunteer meeting. And then we were able to launch a live special friendships or rare friendships. And we want to highlight the issue that we are launching the Homo Projector magazine with a few works, with a few articles that are going to be presented in this event with the authors and everybody that is participating here and all the innovations in this big event. And I also wanted to highlight that Pedro mentioned already that we have empreendedorismoevolutivo.iipc.org, in which that website you will be able to find the entire history from this mega event that we are starting today. Thank you all, and I give the word to Paulo Souza. Thank you, Graça. So a product that was created by the group is ready. Tomorrow we are going to start the debates and the conferences and the workshops. Our gratitude to the extra-physical and intra-physical consciousness that were responsible for building this evolutionary entrepreneur. And here I wanna bring an orthopensata from Instructor Vieira, that in which he says that the actions, they are more sincere than words. So the Third International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship is an example of GESCONs that came from the adversity of the volunteers of Conscientiology. And that is happening in a moment of a great transformation of our planet. My hypothesis is that we are reinforcing our responsibility from an intermissivist course. So be very welcome to this international evolutionary entrepreneur.
We thank the collegiate for this important work. And all the papers made for this Congress will be published in our magazine, scientific magazine. And welcome, Maurício Salles. Good evening. I'm representing here our magazine. And I'm representing some of my colleagues. So this magazine, this scientific magazine or journal, was launched 9 years ago. And we have several subjects that are interconnected with some of the topics that we will be speaking tomorrow. And on our site, homoprojector.org. And Tuesday, it will be available to everyone. There are 27 papers, some of conference articles, and several of our panels are going to be exposed over there as well. So in several years, and if you can imagine, the magazine has 270 pages. How many of all the body of work that we have nowadays can compare to this? So we are very happy about it. So the evolutionary entrepreneurship being talked about in all this work. So in conventional science, we also write and we also publish and market our findings. And in Conscientiology is the same. So let's write about our findings here as well. And this opening conference today, Málu Balona's conference, will be published in the magazine as well. So I invite you all to read it. And it is one of the biggest entrepreneurship work of IIPC. So our assistential entrepreneurship work, it do a lot of things that not everybody can see, not everybody is aware of. So that's why it's so important for us to publish and to market all of this work that we are doing here that's so essential and important. So I wish you all a wonderful conference, and you will all see how important everything that she's going to talk about tonight is to all of us, to our whole memory. We thank Maurício Salles. In our next 4 days, we will have the presence of a great team in camera, in front of the camera, and in the background. So I'd like to introduce the structures that will help me in the third Congress, International Congress. Welcome, Ana Seres and André Monteiro. Good evening, everyone. So now it's with you guys. Josélia and I will say goodbye and see you tomorrow. All right, let's go forward. The first conference of the Third International Congress of Evolutionary in terms of entrepreneurship. We invite Professor Málu Balona. She is the writer of several books, Parapedagogiology, and she's from Belo Horizonte, volunteer in Conscientiology for 30 years, and 27 years of Benta practitioner. She's the author of 2 wonderful books that we have in Conscientiology. It's a mini curriculum of entrepreneurship. Welcome, Professor Málu. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm very honored to be here, which to this event that's already a great success. We have people from United States, from Germany. So I'd like to mention here something in French. So we would like to mention the importance of all the work that Unicim has been doing, collecting all the materials, all the work that has been done throughout these years. So there are some volunteers here that are helping over 10 years. We have people here that have been here for 3 years. And to all of you, it is very important to know the trajectory of the institution, the partners, editares, epigraphy, which are the institutions that publish our written materials. So Málu will have 45 minutes, and we would like to ask you to send your question, and she will answer your questions at the end. Good conference to everyone. All right, so I'm gonna ask for your help with the slides. And the idea is to introduce to you a different front of Conscientiology. That one that is referred to the society in general. And to remind you that in the 90s, we were already working in this area. And especially here in Paraná, it is already a tradition for us. Go ahead, Rupia. The first slides are just a general presentation. So the public presentation of projectiology and conscientiology, theoretical practical neuroscience, proposed by parascientist, physician, and lexicographer Waldo Vieira. And he brought an innovative, integral approach to scientific self-research of the consciousness, and especially lucid projectability. And from there comes the term projectiology. So the existential seriality, the altered states of consciousness, bioimage, and everything under the consciential paradigm, arousing the interest of society and in general and the scientific community. And here, the transmission of Verponistic postulates and neoconstructs by the existential test of clarification or claritest. And it is all based on the exemplarism, the principle of cosmoethical personal exemplarism. And it invites critical self-experimentation based on the reverse binomial expression, self-research of consciousness, research of self-awareness. So it means that I will research myself. And when I research my own consciousness, it has primordial results to myself. So I will use all my discernment in my day-by-day tasks. So we are both the assisted and the assistant. So let's go ahead. And here we have a principle that all the institutes of all the institutions is anti-dogmatism, and it go beyond political parties, beyond religion. It is an invitation for you to use your criticism, not to listen and just believe in what you're listening here. And it is very important, this principle. Do not believe anything, not even what you are informed here. Experiment. Have your own experiences. I am bringing here my own personal experiences, the experiences I lived through at work, my personal life. So you can go ahead. So we have here the principle of disbelief in several languages. I'm going to read it in French. And we also have it here in Guarani, a native Indian language in Brazil. And it is all the same, it's just translated. Let's go ahead. This is a case study. You don't have to worry about writing down what I'm saying here because it will be all in the journal, the magazine. And this is the historical sharing of experiences, innovative solutions, and practical benefits of consciential neo-paradigm and new science projectiology presented by the instructors of the International Institute of Projectiology. So this is our the first name of this institution, the IIPP. So since 1989, we have been working towards the dissemination of this knowledge. The volunteer work, the interexistential intentionality of evolutionary clarification. So since 1996, as I said before, it is a pacifist and non-partisan, and we actually dedicate ourselves from a volunteer posture and inner positioning. So, in terms of re-education, is when we are re-educating ourselves in terms of what we did wrong before in the past, in past lives. And in here, this the material that I am presenting tonight, it is a very important work for people that know Conscientiology for the longest time, but also for people that are listening and watching for the first time tonight. And I'd like to show a little bit of these activities that we have here. Conscientiology is very complex, and the vocabulary is so complex. And although we are also very able to bring all this knowledge to several segments of society. So the facts and the parafacts guide us. So, the strong trait, this is like a record, which we call it strong trait because it's the most valuable quality, the most important quality. So this is why we say that it is the interexistential without borders. So from 1996 to 1996, 98 to 2008. And we, in the past, we had to prove that our work here was useful to society. It changed, but at the time we had to legally prove that. That in here, our work is to inform, not to convince, not to delete. That's why we call your attention to the whole time, ask yourself, is this valuable to me? Does it make a difference in my life, myself? This is what we want to bring to you. So this scientific, technical volunteer work is what we call the business parapedagogical component. Pedagogic, it means that it goes beyond the pedagogic information that we had in society. So it contributes to the whole memory of Conscientiology, or HLM. And it was created in 1997 at the IIPC. So at that time, when we created these projects, in 1989, several businesses and universities already asked us to bring to their to the people related to them or connected with their institutions the knowledge we had. So we had the project companies profession, universities education in 89, and later New Perspectives and Neo Perspectives program in 1990. And especially the parasocial programs or Interassistance Without Borders that was connected with 3 different countries, including Brazil and Argentina. So our goal, the meiotic methodology, which is based on the Socratic method. So from this, we use this work, research work, when we were proposing any kind of activity. So if it is something that will benefit society, if it is an ethical product, that's what we consider here, the para security or safety, the interexistential magnitude, and the comprehensiveness of maxi-praxeological meritorious goals. So it goes towards people that have a major life project. So there are some naturally asked questions here. So since it doesn't matter if you have been in Conscientiology since 1980 or if you just arrived and you're listening to this for the first time. So the idea was always this: what are the crucial principles that will guide this science? Is it just a human resources matter, or are these questions that the whole humanity asks? So the lecturer will be in a very delicate situation if they have no way to answer these questions. So what are the cosmoethical principles guiding the parapedagogical number 10? How to evaluate collectively the applicant enterprise? What criteria apply to the Conscientiological teacher profile? How to avoid conflicts or of interest? How to preserve the leading edge relative truths? So the first question: what are the cosmoethical principles guide of the parapedagogical neurovertent? The principle of spontaneity. So the person contacts the IIPC and they request a lecture, and the principle of cosmoethical rigor. So we don't offer consultancies or promoters, motivational promoters. Let's go, everybody, move on. In 30 seconds, the energy goes low, and then or manipulation. In my experience, when in 89, I was giving a class for 150 students. So to bring these ideas, these verbons, to the corporative environment, we need to actually know how to conduce, to maneuver products. We have to consider that we have a technical, extra-physical team. So we can consider here several phenomena. So, like for instance, our publications, all the rights are reserved to the institution itself, not to us. We don't do. Like for me, for instance, I've published 2 books, and it's going already for the 4th edition, and the rights were donated. So we don't go to these businesses to sell anything. This is very important to know. And like paradiplomacy, when they have a library, we donate books to them. And when they don't have a library, we suggest, why not have a library here? So This is my experience and of another 100 of teachers. How to evaluate the enterprise, the business? We consider the teachers, conscientiologists, paradigm diplomats. They trace the real extraphysical energy, the need of the enterprise. Sometimes they bring it to us. They actually share with us. For example, one time, one institution, they were actually having people disconnecting from the business. It was a mass disconnection. So there is also the principle of reciprocity. The activities are always free of charge. But when you're invited to go to an event and all the speakers are actually hired, if you are going without any type of financial contract, you are not going to. Oh, and you're not going to. You may have the risk of belittling all the other speakers. So in order to avoid that, we actually may charge something, but it all goes to the institution itself, either the IIPC or other conscientiological institution, not to the teacher or speaker. The post-scene and holopostine. Post-scene, the inseparable post-scenic unity, thought, sentiment, and energy. So when you consider the group of thoughts and energy and sentiments, and if you have someone in the company or in the business that is either thinking something really bad about someone, or they have bad feelings towards someone, if it may influence the group of people that work there together. And then we consider here the Holocaustic scenery as maybe a reason for a mass a group of people disconnecting or getting laid off or something like that. Here, the Macrophosphine, according to the Macrophosphine, or the mother root Conscientiological of social organization, there are distinct evolutionary configurations. So without the inter-assistance, without borders, you may have, you will consider the best information that will apply to that institution itself. What criteria apply to the conscientiological teacher profile? For the conscientiological, like principle of parity skilling. So you will, one of the classes that taught by IIPC, the extension course in Conscientiology and Projectiology 1. And when we monitor by spontaneous adherence, and active teachers from other CIs are invited as well. So we have energy workshops, conscientiogram. If you would like to know more about these techniques, they are all available in all the publications of Conscientiology. when you bring this information, these ideas to different sectors of society, you are acting as a retrocognitive agent. So, like a person that studied before this life, before being reborn in this life. So this person comes with the ideas that they are bringing from before. So let's lower, if there is an argument nowadays in conscientiology. Some of the scientists, some of the researchers, they may argue, let's lower a little bit the standards. Let's bring this conversation a little more easier in a way that people can understand. And I don't agree with that. If you will talk about the obvious, like religions, and people are just going to react, oh, this is the same, I've heard that before. And if you bring analogisms, the new words, new terms, it's like they are coming to life. They will recognize. So we are retrocognitive agents. So we are bringing back the information that they already know from the time before they were born. Is everything okay? All right, let's move forward. This sentence here is from Dr. Waldo Vieira. It's from the tertulia that happens daily in Portuguese in Brazil. General criticism is among the obvious causes of the impossibility of scientific investigation, of science conscientiology in function of the task of clarification and the principle of disbelief. So it doesn't make any sense trying to bring all this material to a more understandable language. Then this is how science is. Science will actually demand this from us. Sometimes I read some scientific material without even having previous knowledge about it. And it's my job to actually try to understand it. See how it is important here. It is important to consider, despite goodwill and good intention, not every teacher conscience has the profile to teach clarical, parapedagogical activities in a professional environment. And there are those who feel discomfort and intimate disturbance regarding the assumption of the consciential paradigm. Like tending to accommodate response within the electronic street. So understanding other dimensions, understanding energy. If you have clairvoyance, if you can experience the phenomenon of clairvoyance, and you perceive, you can feel the energy, then you are able to transmit that knowledge to others. You have the impressions, and you can bring that up to everybody else. So being uncomfortable with this is common. But on the other hand, it is very important that we can also promote changes. And this dilemma, it gives you a gap to the psychological artifice of self-cognitive segmentation or dissociation, configuring the consciential bifrontism. So, consciência, predisperto consciência in CI's environment or the institution, and the ordinary pre-serenissimus consciência in academic environment and or professional. So this person will feel uncomfortable. They will feel that something there doesn't make much sense. And in a conscientiological environment, classroom, that person will feel more in place. So sometimes there's a discomfort that comes to, for instance, the person that's bringing new knowledge to a company, to a business, sometimes it may come from the teacher and not actually totally from the business. How to avoid conflicts of interest. This impartiality principle is like, for instance, the employees of the visited company, the salespeople or products and services, it's not recommended that they give classes, they become teachers there. Like psychologists or technical instructors work only outside their institution and or city where they work. So it's not recommended that you mix it up. So it's very important that we consider the cosmoethical principle of evolutionary
We have a cosmoethical
intelligence.
principle that is quite advanced, that we call it cosmoethical principle of evolutionary intelligence, which it means the best must include all conscience and consciences. So if you have a better idea, why are you going to drink and receive the less evolved? Instructor Vieira used to mention that people used to wear only one pair of shoes. So this is one of the main ideas of the cosmoethical principle of evolutionary intelligence. Before, we would like to talk about the helpers, the extra-physical helpers. For people to work in the interexistence without borders, people need to trash away what we call it negocinhos, which is the scams, the business and scams. So conscientiology is not for business. Let me give a practical example. People is invited to give a lecture to talk about conscientiology. And in this right moment, the instructor, the professor, they decide to start giving visit cards. And this creates a huge gap, a huge problem, because this teacher, this instructor went there to apply conscientiological work. It is not professional work. So this means that we ought to learn how to apply the entrepreneurship parapedagogy. We call this an interpersonal commitment, because the person will get attached, will put herself or himself inside the prison. Another important point is the extra-physical matrices. We bring matrices and clear principles. And not everybody has the same of perception. We call those people with this crystal clear perception, we call them intermissivists. So this person needs to maintain this work very active. So this person is part of a group, and this person needs to represent. How? With a moral authority. This person arrived there, talks with a very transparent, in a very transparent way, and talked for everybody with a strong coherence. Of course, the only problem that the person will perhaps receive is a card from the company later and after. So the only thing we want is your opinion. And these we call extra-physical matrices. And this is inside the consciousness. It's intra-consciential. Either this person has or hasn't. If this group of people, if they are not loyal towards those principles, they or we will not feel well enough. Another point is how to preserve the relative truth of response. So let's suppose you were there in a professional environment. And then there you are going to lecture about conscientiology. So, for example, there is a person that is responsible for parasocial programs and the Inter-Assistance Without Border. It's important that to have the clarity that whenever you talk, whenever you represent conscientiology, you are representing a coherent intermissivist course. So people, instructors from Conscientiology that are going to represent and that are going to talk about Conscientiology, they are not going to talk about psychology, your profession, or any other thing for that matter, not even religion. You are there to talk about Conscientiology, which is a disbelief science. Now, and you are not going to make it easier to understand. You are going to talk about Conscientiology. Because whenever you do that, people get like an alarm clock. So those ideas that we are talking, when they get connected inside a company environment, I remember that I saw mega recycles. People amplify the career. People even change professional areas. The career amplify. So what is my target in this end for that matter? So the essence here is select the best out of everybody, for everybody. So instead of this motto of better for me, based on might is right, or frenetic competitiveness for power or professional ascension, all that disappear whenever you start to talk about your life project, your mission in life, whenever you were addressing Conscientiology, because Conscientiology was created for that. So it means, look, you have an evolutionary program. You make the difference. See what you can do, and if your ideas that have been applied, if the ideas you are bringing, if they are acknowledged. So this we highlight inside the classroom every day. We used to highlight that in ECP2 a lot, which is an immersion course in which people will be participating inside a hotel during 3 days. Okay, so let's talk about now the intrusion. So what is a de-intrusion? So I know the application of de-assimilation bioenergetic techniques, they offer possibilities because we don't want that. And how we do this? So we usually don't talk about consciential intrusion, mental intrusion. No, it's not only psychological. The intrusion brings, acquire all the vehicles of manifestation. You can have a series of uncomfortable, either in your physical, energetical, or other vehicles. Whenever you have a pathological thought towards that. So Conscientiology and Projectology and all the specialities, they offer techniques, bioenergetic techniques, in order for people to de-intrusion, to get de-intruded. And the person is going to do the job by herself or by himself. We call it a de-assimilation. No, we call it sympathetic de-assimilation. It's not exactly sympathetic, but that's how we call. And we know that these techniques, they are much more necessary and much more needed if you are outside of Conscientiology. That's why your posture, your well-being posture guarantee the parasecurity. Your parasecurity, your own parasecurity between you and people, and also you will be helping others to get de-intruded. And that will guarantee the interassistential climax inside the company. No, which is this energetical pattern from the professional environment that could end and could become more assistential when we interfere from an assistential point of view. I hope it's clear so far. Soon we are going to answer the questions, and I would like to highlight for everybody who would like to ask, to direct the questions specific to this matter, to the subject that we are debating here, okay? So here now we are going to attend something very serious. So people, intermissivist, proaxist, intermissivist, conscience, they are dispersed around the world. It doesn't matter if they speak Portuguese, Italian, or any other language, no? And we call these people, we call it cosmoethical infiltrators. And they are there inside a specific group, and they have the responsibility, they have the existential program to highlight, to create something, to build something. So being aware of that, it's important, because this is exactly what is going to promote the social change. The issue here is the extra-physical reurbanizations. Could you go back in the slide before, please? Not this one. So, reurbaxis, what is that? It is extra-physical reurbanization. The intra-physical reurbanization, everybody is aware of. We're talking about the neighborhood. But now we are talking about the extra-physical reurbanization. The extra-physical reurbanization is about how you take care of people, how you embrace the extra-physical consciousness, how you can renew all the extra-physical environment. This is the... So we are aware about the human reurbanizations, but we are not aware about the extra-physical reurbanizations. So could we follow up? So now we are going to talk about the flow, which is the cosmetical logic of the flow of free pioneer services to demands received from private and governmental sectors. So now we have the home office, but the energy is not here because the energy goes beyond space. And this is what we try to qualify in the institutions. I'm gonna bring a few names: Caixa Econômica Federal, IBAMA, Center, Bank. I am not going to talk about private companies. I'm bringing a few examples of public companies. So, of course, I'm not talking about you going to talk about Conscientiology. No, not at all. I am talking about a company, an entrepreneur inviting you to talk. So this work needs to be done without omissions. Of course, unless we are addressing this surplus omission. No. So, of course, in this sense, we, for example, one environment that is totally contaminated, we are going, in this case, to minimize. But the information that we bring in the environments, they generate profound renovations. We have two students from 99. One is in Baçu, Foz, another is São José dos Campos, São Paulo, and they are even Conscientiological volunteers from back then. So there exists a trajectory, a connection in people's life that will change due to ideas. And of course, if the ideas are well exemplified, I'm not talking about others. I am highlighting self-examples with a minimum of self-coherence for us to represent conscientiology and projectology and other sciences as well. The area that we call it Parapedagogiology, the object of study is the parapedagogy. Parapedagogy. So this is for us to study a parapsychic entrepreneur. So then you go there in the companies and you generate an impact, because we all are involved in interplanetary program. And it's important to highlight, it's important to bring lucidity towards people, to understand more about the para-diplomacy, to understand more about the multidimensional para-diplomacy, in which they are all connected and they integrated all the maneuvers. We are now talking about the disbelievology. We are talking about the deepertology. And people now are participating from a lucid point of view, from a very awareness point of view. Little by little, we are now stop using fossil fuels, and now we are going to use air energy. Do you want something better than that? There is a work from Instructor Vieira called Planetary Measures, and also in the Projectology treatise, in which he exemplifies and talks about this evolutionary gradation, in which the planets, they stop using fossil fuel and they start to substitute for others, for more natural fuels, and following this cosmic flow. This is quite important for us to bring this here today for you. I am going to stop here, and then I am going to give the word for the master of this Congress, the coordinators of the Congress here. Is that correct, Andrea? Okay, so for me it's everything okay, but if you want to conclude, so Instructor Málu, we congratulate a lot. Soon we are going to go back to you because we have a special invitation, and soon I will be calling you back for the conclusions arguments. So folks, before we start our debate, we have a message for you that are thinking on enrolling in the Third International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship, reinforcing that all the money is going to be destined direct to the construction of the campus of IIPC. If you access the website from the Congress, and if you died empreendedorismoevolutivo.org.br, you are going to be aware and know more about it, like what we are showing here. The complete program from every day and the instructors that are invited. We are now going to present a few highlights that we are going to hold in this Congress. Tomorrow, we are going to have the conference talking about Parapedagogiology and the entrepreneurship in the Conscientiological expansion. On the 13th, we are going to have the conference Coexistence and Interassistential Entrepreneur with Everaldo and Lilian, and the talk show with social, with a cineasta, and in the 14th, we are going to have the conference Peace and Entrepreneurship with Maria Paula, and then we are going to address and to understand more about Holoteca and the expansion about Cognopolis Iguaçu Foz with Cesar Cordioli. And on the 15th, we are going to have the conference Adaptability and Interassistential Innovation in a Planet of Transformation with instructors Poliana and Ailton and Gabriel. Beyond the events that we highlighted, along the Congress, we are going to have 10 thematic tables with 25 self-research that are presented in the form of articles and 9 summaries and 4 workshops. We are going to have a marathon of learning, and it's worth it being part of it. So it's still time to enroll. Access now the website and enroll yourself. And click on the link, Get Enrolled, right now. Now let's call back Instructor Málu Balona. Be welcome back, Instructor Málu Balona. Here I am, estoy acá. Feel free if you want to highlight anything you haven't been able to present during the debate. It's up to you. From now on, we are going to start the debate with Instructor Málu Balona. We are going to do our best to take care about the big number of questions. We have many questions here I am going to address. So Málu, good night. What is the position of consciousness regarding everyday intraphysical facts and omission in the political aspects? I think this question is from Italo. Well, this question is not specific what I talked today. The Conscientiological institutions, they are non-political connection. I'm not saying that the institutions, they don't have a position, but we have the institutions, they are not a part, they are non-partisan. So what we aim is the cosmo view, which is something that goes beyond the intraphysical boundaries, that goes beyond the planet. So one thing it's important to highlight is our personal position towards the planet, not from A, B, or C. It's an excellent association with your subject. Now we have another question from Maria Jose. Being the institution apartheid and secular, how should their participants position themselves in relation to these two aspects? Well, I think we should not do anything because everybody is what it is. No, we have the connection, we have the multidimensional connection, and I think we need to highlight the coherence. If I am a volunteer in an institution, or if I am a volunteer inside an institution that is non-partisan and Laika, and how I'm going to behave myself against the laws or the regulations. But I'm gonna reinforce, those are not related to what I exposed today. I think we should give the opportunity for those who really wanna be connected with what we are talking. We are talking here with one goal, one main goal, which is to talk about interassistential entrepreneurship, interassistential without borders. So talking about borders is completely small now. We want to talk beyond borders. There's an interesting question here about the parasocial programs. So how do you think the future of the parasocial programs they will be? I think every volunteer that is interested in this area needs to dig it up in this trajectory. For example, the parasocial programs, when we started here in the boundary, we worked with Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and then we worked with Peru, 4 countries. Our goal is to arrive in ONU and UNESCO and connect with an international assistance. So this program happened 3 years straight in Paraguay, and then Uruguay, Argentina came, Peru as well. All the time, universities that would be asking. We talked about Conscientiology and Projectology in the area of education for 4,500 instructors in Paraguay during 3 years. I public all the lists. I public the lists and the name of the teachers and the volunteers. So we went there. We were invited because the Minister of Education, they invited us. Ciudad del Este is the chapter of Paraguay. It's not only the boundary area. Well, Ciudad del Este has many instructors. We went to the countryside to talk about country people, educators. Even instructor Marcelo Silva was with me in this process. We talked about this. And then I received none sitting in the first chair, a very modest gentleman, a modest lady. And then one of them one of those modest people, they asked me, so you were talking about mission in life. So the conscientiological language is universal. It's an extra-physical paraepistemology. Of course, it depends on the person that is going to receive. So we ought to be prepared to talk for everybody. So people need to feel free very well with the idea, with the paradigm, with the application. So this is the theories, the theory and the practice. So we have a questioning about Jufran. So good night, Málu. When we talked about interest without borders, what to do when the most sick is the boundary itself in the process of inter-assistance. When the assistance does not want to be watched or enlightened. There is a technique that was proposed by instructor Vieira named Penta, personal energetic task. So those who are against, you just work with your energies and give them the best, right? Because shouldn't we be sending and exteriorizing energies for the best of everybody? So he or she, they are part, although they are against, they are part of everybody. They are part of the entire group. So when we were in Paraguay, we were invited to do this job there in Paraguay because of the crisis. And then I highlight, it's much more intelligent practicing Penta than practicing strike. So understand who made. We have Penta and we have Teneper, no? Teneper in Spanish and Penta in English. Yeah, that's Penta, that's the name, personal energetic task. Okay, so taking opportunity for that, which hint are you going to give for those who want to develop this sense of universalism to do this assistance in a more wide way? Well, this is for us to break the geographic boundaries, mental geographic boundaries, because the barriers, they are inside our mind. If you go beyond your family, your city, your state, your country. So this is a line that is not inside a folklore or a group. People is beyond people. We want the best of everybody, and we work with energies for that. It's very important to break the mental barriers. The mental barriers are what make us to see everything in like a small keyhole. How about you bring conscientiology in Brazil and outside Brazil? I travel Brazil and outside Brazil from head to toe, Spain, Portugal, United States, Venezuela. So you just need to pick your passport and pick your para passport that the extra physical team is going to help you. Remember a marketing they used to do in television? Do not go outside your house without your credit card. So now I am highlighting, do not go outside your house without your energies. So Edelar would like to know more about the parapedagogy team with social programs and operates in schools in Brazil, Paraguay, and on other countries. And she would like to know what are the prerequisites to participate. I think the prerequisites are becoming a instructor of ECP2 course, advanced course. So if you've been in a hotel with many students talking about the intrusion, following the process of everybody, with people from all sorts of groups, and you were okay at the moment you were able to clarify. If you were tranquil, you would need the triple of energy to deal with that, because in classroom, in the parapedagogical set, people were at home. But now when you visit, you go there, and you need to respect the culture, the country, the region, and at the same time, do not refrain from talking about the reality. People are tired of being cheated, and they can acknowledge when you are offering your best. You are sharing your own laboratory, your experience, your personal experience. So why I'm talking today, it's about my personal experience. Great, fantastic. We have another interesting question about from Gabriel. Instructor Málu, we will have Could you... Instructor Málu, this year is CP1 turned 30. Could you comment on the importance of it, and also for the course participants? Yes, I can mention that. Remember that phrase? If you build, they will come. I remember a long time ago, I was living in Rio de Janeiro around, give or take, 1992. January 24th of 1992, and we were looking for a movie. And then I was inside the shopping São Conrado, and then I looked in the door of the movie, and then I saw a guy with his crossed legs, and then the movie was Campo dos Sonhos, Field of Dreams, with Kevin Costner. And then I thought, folks, what is that? I'm going to watch that. I watched the movie and I said, this is the movie for us to debate. So here we have today a condominium with a name, Field of Dreams. And this expression is from Kevin Costner that keeps saying, if you build, they will come. I gave CP1 in Portugal, in Spain, in Buenos Aires. The consciousness has evolutionary needs that are similar, although they are singulars. And we have evolutionary needs that are very similar. And when we talked about life project, at the moment you talked about life project, it's a way for us to we call it in French, rassemblement. You change the destiny of people. It's not you who change. Who change are the others, because people can acknowledge those ideas. So a conscientiological instructor arrives to talk about what people are aware, and they acknowledge what you have, because they also have the same. And that's why we change the destiny of people. That's why everything we enrolled, everything we taught in ECP1 has a straight participation from Instructor Vieira. So the energy that is consolidated from Instructor Vieira from many activities. Instructor Málu, in this sense, Ellen, Ellen mentioned that is an excellent topic. I'd like to ask the instructor if she'd have any recommendation for us overseas to apply this formula in foreign countries. I understood, Ellen. Which country are you talking about? I'm not sure the country, but as soon as I have the information, I talked. When I was in New York, talking on Conscientiology, talking about Conscientiological activities, no, we had more than 30 nationalities and people were understanding that. I think the planet is round. If you arrive from one point, you popped out from one point, you can arrive in the same point. So the ideal will be if you can capacitate yourself here. If you can do the ICEVE, I insist on that because this is the para-security from the instructors and students. So those who are ICEVE instructors, they know what I am talking about para-security. So the ideal will be the proposal of the parasocial programs, or we public that, is that we were able to be credited by UNESCO with an international program that we could go in this context. I do not think small because those ideas, they are huge. They are not made to fit in a keyhole. It's a process of a planetary re-education. This is possible from a very logical point of view. So the ideal is for you to come here. And you can read also the magazine because in that magazine I public many more information about the interassistential without the borders. This is what I presented. So Ellen is from United States. And the original question, if I'm not mistaken, was made in English. Okay, it's been translated. So what we need to ask if she is interested on doing the formation, the capacitation with us. And from there, she will become an instructor with a better para-security for her to act according to certain rules, regulations to qualify the para-security. Ellen is also helping in the interpretation here. Instructor Málu, we have a question about Leandro Silveira. Instructor Málu, did you observe any recycling of the organizations after this clarification work? Yes, as I mentioned before, we used to apply evaluation questioning. Of course, that may help us to organize all the data and follow the changes. This is not something that is spread. This is something that is completely organized. I act in the Center of Continuous Consciousness, and then after that, in 2014, I was busy with the hollow memory. And then Cleverson gave the continuity to this work from 2014. I think this is related with the preparation, and then people will see this condition, will be able to read more information inside the magazine right now. We have a question.
O empreendedorismo evolutivo é dos mater pensenes do IPC e pede para que possa abordar a relação.
Entrepreneurship is one of the matter 14 of the IIPC. So she asked about the importance of the projectarium and the campus. When we go to the businesses, when although Conscientiology was growing, but we started with the IIPC, with projectiology. That's how we started. So it is very evident that when we are speaking in our business, this is the way that that person has to validate the experiences. Very commonly, we would ask them, have you ever experienced a dream or being out of your body? And a lot of people said yes. So the out of body experience or into projection is very common. And wherever they are, for the first time, the person would realize, oh, I have that. So that's how it's called. So when we bring that information to the business, which is an activity of entrepreneurship and very specific, is helping these projectors to wake up everywhere in the world. If you are a volunteer in Conscientiology, how do you survive? What's your financial resource? And that's out there. So this assistential entrepreneurship is everywhere. When you assist a coworker in a professional environment and you speak, well, what do you do? Well, that's what I do. Whenever they ask you a question, you answer. You're not imposing. But if there is a demand for that, well, I am a conscientiological researcher. I'm a specialist. Wherever we go, we give the consciential curriculum because the other one any person has. But this one here is a very special curriculum, a resume. So the person needs to actually assume and take ownership of this entrepreneurship, assistential entrepreneurship, the Claritas. And it has a direct connection with the projection. So when we clarify the person about this, they are able to actually experiment. So it is fundamental. And conscientiology by itself is entrepreneur. It relates some sort of entrepreneurship. So I am going to ask you a different question. You about the bifrontism, the consciential bifrontism. We start to speak openly. Honesty is not intrusive. They realize that they can speak with you about any kind of subject. You are not going to try to impose any doctrine, but it has to be clear to ourselves. When we are new in conscientiology, we come and we try to speak about it to everyone with no reservation. But it shouldn't be like this. It is a very intelligent task. Of, so we speak openly about it anywhere, but without imposition. When we went to a business to launch a book, and the lady asked, are you speaking about dead people? And I said, yes, exactly. You and me tomorrow. So this light, good mood and the paradidactic, parapedagogic histrionism is valuable. And I learned from Dr. Waldo. So when we talked about exemplarism, about the curriculum, I have a question. The Interassistential Without Borders Entrepreneurship program, what is the value that we can take from it? The multiculturalism, the respect for that culture of the place where you went to visit. We had several opportunities to experience this, the fraternal comprehension or understanding that we have. So at one time, I went to a place and the person told me that they were expecting like around 800 people, 700 came. And we were talking about healthy self-esteem. We stayed for 4 hours. We served food, and I asked for us to stay 2 extra hours. So that's why we stayed for 4 hours. And that was my first lesson. I learned about the principle of this belief. So when you go to a different culture, you will learn their own values. The values of that culture are different from your own. So you learn how to respect and value the values of those other cultures. Great answer. If you haven't asked your question yet, you still have time. What were the biggest challenges when the program was in Brasilia? I think that media, whenever you have a free of charge auditorium, it is an excellent opportunity for people to know Conscientiology, to get the first impression. It happened several times in several different environments. For instance, the Medical Association auditorium, and it's open to the public. And some people from the association itself may have come and looked for us and asked how it worked and asked about it. And that's how it happened in Brasilia. Uh, Several people that approached us that they didn't need this scheme thing, the negocinho, how Brazilians say. We were speaking openly and honestly. And Dr. Waldo said, be careful with all the offers because it's very dangerous for us to actually accept anything. So, one saying that Dr. Waldo used to say was, who doesn't want to launder money in a very clean organization? So if you are not expecting for a status position, so when we went to this big bank in Brazil, open to the public, before that, we had some lectures over there, and uh, there were two lectures, one from a government institution and ours was still with people, and theirs was not. Several teachers are asking questions. In your itinerance, hold on. Oh, and the teacher itinerance that works in the Wall Without Borders, how to choose the country. We don't choose the country. It has to be a spontaneous demand. It has to be filtered or a certain triage. And you're a Conscientiology teacher, ECP1 teacher, and you volunteer to do this kind of work. Your predisposition, your experience. I've never chosen anything like this. I was always being invited, and I would say yes, I will go. So my yes was for almost 3 decades, but it was always spontaneous. We opened in Buenos Aires. I stayed there for 5 years. I went to Barcelona for a year. So it's institutional. You volunteer to be a teacher, an instructor in this kind of program, and then the institution itself will verify what are the demands. Because these people, they contact the institution, not the teacher. And then under the criteria, the instructor will be chosen to do this type of work. So it can't have interest, a conflict of interest. So the parasocial task and the teacher cannot have any kind of interest or conflict of interest in this.
Professora Málu, o René Moraes faz a seguinte pergunta, bastante interessante. Professora, a internet tem reduzido fronteiras intrafísicas.
The internet has been minimizing the borders, the physical border.
Permitem maiores interações e debates online.
How do you see the internet? Does it allow us to have more interconnection? No, I don't think so. Nothing will replace our physical presence. Like, for instance, the book that we write, it stays in the shelf. Who is going to actually divulge and market that book is the author. The internet is a resource, is a tool, but the better way for us to connect is local. And I'm already in my 70s, so this is the reason I actually don't travel as much anymore. But this is the reason I'm here online today. But consciential nomadism, I've done that a lot. It's you and your helper. Sometimes whenever I went to another place, I was the only Penta practitioner, the only teacher, the only instructor. That was in the 90s. But it is not just a vacation traveling, and that it's not just to have a vacation, it's professional. We stay in the hotel. I've never stayed in in relatives, with relatives. I was always in the hotel, very protected, and I don't know. For instance, I went to Barcelona, and I don't know much of the place. I haven't seen too much, and Argentina as well, because I worked a lot. I was always working. That was my job. Oh, I'm gonna go and visit, and no, there is nothing like that. You are determined to fulfill that program. Is you will follow that script, and this is what makes the difference.
Professora Málu, tem uma pergunta aqui
We have a question here
que eu acho interessante, porque nós
that I think is very interesting.
essa live ela é aberta, né, ao público de uma
As,
forma geral, nós temos vários
since this live is open to everyone, so there are some people here that are here for the first time. So she thinks to enumerate evolutionary entrepreneurship task activities that are open. So all these that we've already mentioned here before are some examples. IIPC continues to produce this kind of activity. I see that entrepreneurship is a lifestyle. It's not just one thing, a closed thing here and there. It's a lifestyle. Wherever you go, you are intermissivist. It doesn't matter how many people that are here to receive the clarification. You will do it anywhere. It is based on demand. So we have so many examples. If you would like to know more about it, the hollow memory of Conscientiology has several posters and flyers. In 1989, we were already giving classes, introduction classes of projectiology, giving classes there. So since 89, it is all documented. We have several folders.
Você me permite, para Mari também, ótimo local para ter contato com novos empreendimentos evolutivos.
If you allow me, here in this Congress, this Congress is a great example. How we had a lecture in some place, how did we publish a book? These are all entrepreneur activities. Evolutionary entrepreneurship, about all that we are talking here right now. Like, for instance, in my town, we didn't have anything about conscientiology until one person requested that we went there and gave a lecture, and we did. Oh, someone may say, there is nothing here in my town. I'd like to know more about it. Yeah, all right, we are going. And my main concern at the time was, who is going? So the person sends a letter or gives us a phone call, and then we would say, why don't you start? This is entrepreneurship. So another question, there is a very interesting question. More and more, we will have urbanized consciousness. How can we actually assist everyone, but knowing that conscientiology is not about the masses? Conscientiology is not about the masses, but it's fraternal. It will reach everyone. So if it is a consciousness that just got here, that was reurbanized recently, they can be a volunteer. They can actually start doing a lot of things that an intermissivist won't do. It depends of himself or herself. If they are predisposed, the helpers will be there to help. And we are not going to exclude. So the fraternism and the will actually be in, it will be our main concern. And the antagonist is someone that will bring a conflict. That means that that person is not doing well with him or herself. So some religious group that will kill everybody, will commit suicide. This is because they are not, they are not confident about themselves. Whoever is feeling well is feeling well about themselves. They feel well with everybody else. Who knows if they are actually in the beginning of their journey and they will actually do very well, and then they will mature. Wow. And then they will actually be inspired and they will think, well, this is really nice what they are doing. I hope I can do it in the future. I have a question here that is very connected with this answer that you just gave us. What can we do to actually break this polarization without borders? I don't want to break anything. You know why? Because breaking things, everybody already does that. I am a pacifist. We are here and we are pacifists. Polarization is something that's inherent to the human being. People that have fixed ideas, they will be born somewhere and they will be against it. If they are born in some other place, they are against something. They will be always against something. It is an inner conflict. They have an inner war. They are already in the war zone. So the ideal is that we don't get that, let that affect us. We encapsulate ourselves energetically. Parasanitary encapsulament. So we are not at risk. It happens everywhere, anywhere. We don't have to break anything. I'm quite the opposite. We're here to build, to create. But the first person who is going to actually start this is you, yourself. If we have more intimate inner pacification, we're not going to be worried about this. There are beings a lot more advanced taking care of it. So just smile and move forward.
Como nós começamos a live pouquinho,
we started a little late. Is it okay with you if we extend 15 minutes more? Yes. I just want to finish my presentation. Is that okay? All right. So if you want, go ahead and finish the presentation. Let's go back to the slide. So the institutional matrix of the ICCC reach through today for the high competence in the activities of the professional segment, for the initiative to train its own voluntary technical scientific parapsychic faculty in the specialization of enterprise or entrepreneurship. And we use this trinomial: initiative, executive, closing. And the IIPC has been contributing with that. So executive, after analyzing and evaluating the profile of the claimant enterprise, the preliminary negotiations for corporate conscientiological activities entered the executive phase. So we received the letter of critical appreciation, and our main goal is what? Is exactly bring what I'm talking about here today. So if we didn't have all this work being done in the background since that time, we wouldn't even have this topic here today. So as conscientiologists, it's very important that we have the documentation. Like history. History is made out of documents, documentation, the trajectories. So this is what we are talking about here. Finishing or closing. With activities of broad social spectrum carried out in Brazil and other South American countries, always anchored in parapsychic prudence and parasocial programs, interassistance without borders. That is, we were bringing this to so, like for instance, some people have interest, but not everybody will be interested. And sometimes it may cause a little accident, like free travel accidents, or may be a priority in this case. Here are some pictures with some of the educators in Paraguay. This was press conference. So the association president. Here is another event. We were the ones that suggested the titles of the conferences and the events. So these here specifically were all about education. So seminars. The first Congress we had with partnership with the association, we received over 1,000 educators. And we had several workshops, and they were very involved and appreciative of all the techniques, like the cosmogram technique. And then we had the first international congress here in Brazil, and a delegation from Paraguay came to actually be part of it and participate. Can we go ahead?
Here we can see Luiz Bonassi, Veraldo Brigonzini. They also were there giving workshop, but many more instructors. Here we can see instructor Romeo Reginato. After you can double check. Here is in Peru, in Chimbote and Trujillo. We were contact here in Brazil through Maria Teresa Arunati, and then we programmed the trip from those two instructors there. Here for me, I like it, the picture, because we have the principle of disbelief. Remember, I told you in French and in Guarani before. Could we keep on moving? Here it's interesting, as corrupt and ambitious governments do almost nothing, with much intervoluntary cosmoetical system demonstrate it is possible to do a lot more with almost nothing. This is an emphatic phrase for us to reflect. I want to thank you, everybody, especially the coordination of this event, Patricia, and all the team of the coordination. I want to highlight my congratulations. And I also wrote in our chat, but I think it's a great opportunity of be part and open this Congress of Entrepreneurship. And I hope it becomes very motivated for this important assistance, even in the companies and in the social area. We are very honored and very great. Before we finish, I have a few questions. Jorge Rabelo is asking where we can access these informations. You send an email to HLM Conscientiology at I think it's iipc.org, but she is going to paste in the chat. I will need, of course, you're gonna need at least 30 to wait 30 days. There is more than a ton of files. So the whole memory is with 25 years. Instructor Málu, we would be hours and hours. We will be duplicating this live more twice to hear you and be more aware of your experiment. I would like to ask about your entire experience. I would like to conclude with one last question. Instructor, how was the relationship between its parapsychic development and its international performance, including its relationship with the teams of helpers and supporters? Well, this is with your face, because whenever you are going to itinerate, whenever you are going to travel, I remember the first classes I gave, I told Instructor Vieira, I'm not sure what I should teach, because I haven't been able to study this strategy. And then Instructor Vieira said, oh, don't worry, this is not necessary. So I remember the first time I taught stage number 1, and then Instructor Vieira told me, now it's your turn. And then I told him, what? Excuse me. And then he told me, if you do not go, I will have to go. I mentioned this in my life. Of course, then I decided to go. So it is like this, folks. It's you accepting that, and others, sometimes they don't perceive the value. When I went to Buenos Aires to give lectures, P1, P2, P3, P4, people who brought me to the airport, they asked me, do you speak Spanish? And then I told this person, no, I don't. And aren't you panicking? And then she said, oh, no. and then panicking would not help me on anything. So I will be arriving there, and I will ask the help of people. This is how it works. This is how we gain the helpers, and this is how we develop our psyches. Because whenever you are alone in a city, in a country that you were not aware of anybody, you know almost anybody. Because of course, whenever you are going to do an activity where you have air conditioner, a nice class, a nice water, people get accommodated. But go on the places that nobody never went, and then you will be able to develop your parapsychism. Because there's only you. It's not because you were the best. It's just you that is available. You are unique. So you are the self-protagonism. You are the center of your helper. They need to help you until the end. So if you are there, it's because you have the capacity. They will not send a person who has no capacity. This is how it works, at least in my school. And in this school that I learned with Instructor Vera. Instructor Málu, your school, it's a school of evolution. We really would like to congratulate you, to thank you a lot, because you were able to share all your huge experience, and thank you very, very much. And thank you once more. I would like to highlight, to say thank you to everybody, and to organizers, and to everybody that have been supporting me, in Ailton, Patricia, Instructor Shirley, Cleverson, and so all that were more in contact with me, and to the entire team. And I think at the end of this Congress, we will be finishing in a more mature way. That's what I aim. That's what I wish. Very inspiring, the conference of Instructor Málu Balona. And we would like to highlight that the third International Congress of Evolutionary Entrepreneurship is for you that wanna dig it up in the most recent knowledges. The Congress will happen during the next 4 days, 7 conferences, 12 roundtables, 1 talk show, and 6 roundtables and 4 workshops. Those who are participating will be also helping to build the campus IIPC. So if you are interested, access the link and enroll yourself, profit from that, be yourself the transformation that the planet needs. I would like to congratulate the presence of everybody that were with us until the end. Once again, Instructor Málu Balona, was an honor. So I wish you all have a great night of sleep, and try to be connected. Tomorrow we are starting 8:30 a.m. Brazilian time with the conference Parapedagogiology and Evolutionary Entrepreneurship. The virtual room will be open from 8 a.m. A good night, everybody, and great projections and entrepreneurship and para projections. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.